Back here, first things first, we are going viral. Yesterday, Nationals catcher Spencer Kieboom was walking up to the plate, spit out his tooth. However, the story wasn't over. He steps up to the plate and blasts his very first career home run. Pretty cool, right? Well, the Nationals Twitter account sent out this picture with the caption, "Only 22 days till next hockey season."
Do we have the ability to zoom in on this guy's face? Because that tooth, did he spit out part of the tooth?
Yeah, it's the part.
Did he have an egg tooth?
I think he had a cap on it, and he lost the cap.
Oh, okay, because it still looks like there's part of a tooth there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A cap on his teeth.
Yeah, you got to take care of your teeth and everything. I tell guys in the NFL, because there's some guys with some ugly mouths, take advantage of the dental program while you're here.
Okay.
Get your grill fixed.
Oh, okay. There you go. Take advantage of the dental program while you're here.
Awesome. Time now for some stories to start your morning, brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. Reports are surfacing that Lions players are upset with Matt Patricia over team rules and the amount of work that he's putting them through. Seems like he's trying to bring that Patriot way to Detroit. What was your reaction to this, C?
I'm not surprised. All first-time coaches, for the most part, they have some adjustment that they have to do, and it's their first time. They make some mistakes. You think Belichick, when he sent him out, he told him exactly how to run practices, how to deal with all the players? No, he never tells them that. Man, when you decide to lead the Patriots, pack your office and get out the door.
Remember, that's one of the ways they kept McDaniels. Was Belichick said, "I'm going to let you in on some certain things that I evidently haven't been letting you in on." Right? Patricia's leaving to the Lions like, "All right, deuces. We'll see you later, man. Good luck in Detroit. We play you in week 3.
Yeah, but these are things that you have to watch. Now it's up to the coach to see if he's going to adjust. Jenna, a lot of people would say, well, what's the problem with working hard? All NFL players can only work the same amount of time. So we know the same amount of time, but are you going to have pads on? Are you going to allow the players some non-padded days compared to having all the padded days? Those things players like. And players want to know, do you really care about me? You care about my family, you care about my body, and most of these first-time assistants, it's either win or lose. They don't get the other interchangeable parts.
Are you going to give veterans the special dispensation veterans get in every NFL city except for New England? Like, I get it that New England's run a certain way, and Belichick's able to do that because he's got 5 rings. So you trying to act like you've earned the respect, and there's a problem a lot of these guys have, that Belichick has earned before you've won a single game as a coach, right? That's going to rub people wrong.
That's why, Nick, when I own an NFL team, I can't make you the guy down there to be the guy that's the challenge guy and all that. You know the reason why? Because you're as smart as him, right? He's got some type of degree, right? Yeah, it's rocket scientist. But you know what that means to a defensive tackle?
Not much.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I know that he doesn't know? Pencil don't write on laminated sheets, Patricia. Boy. Get rid of the pencil. Someone get him a felt tip mark.
Nick has a huge problem with that. The Panthers beat the Cowboys on Sunday. That's good news. Cam Newton, though, lost his favorite target for the foreseeable future. That is Carolina bad news. Greg Olsen refractured the same foot he injured last season. He says he does hope to return later this season, though. See, how much does the loss of Greg Olsen impact this offense?
It impacts the offense because it, in fact, affects their best player, Cam Newton. And then we have a domino effect. Cam Newton is Nick Wright's guy. I like Cam Newton, too, but I bang on him a little more than Nick.
A little inconsistent.
But this offensive line, Nick's been talking about this for 5 or 6 weeks. Hey, I got to watch this on because they lost their right guard, their best guard,
Andrew Norwell to
Jacksonville in free agency. Left tackle started the season on PUP.
On IR.
On IR, yes.
And the right tackle got carted off in week 1. And so what do we talk about all the time, like with Gronk? Oh, he'll help out the offensive line and tackles by being a good blocker. Greg Olsen is their number 1 receiver. He's also a quality blocker. So you're down to backup tackles and a backup tight end. That ain't great. Now, we've seen the Panthers. They lost Kelvin Benjamin early in the year. They went 15-1. They lost Greg Olsen for midway through last year. They got him back later. They made the playoffs. They've made do losing receivers, but the offensive line and the blocking is worrisome.
All right, Carson Wentz, who missed week 1, still recovering from the knee injury he suffered at the end of last season, will not be back this week either. Eagles are in Tampa. According to reports, Wentz is expected to miss at least a few more weeks, and there's no hard and fast plan for his return. Nick and the Eagles stay afloat with Nick Foles at the helm.
If we're talking stay afloat for the first month of the season, yes, absolutely. They're already 1-0. 2-2 is staying afloat. 3-1 is you're in great shape. You have Tampa. I know Tampa played well, but you have Tampa and Indy the next 2 weeks. Your fronts, offensive line and defensive line, should be able to dominate those games. So I think they can stay afloat, but not because I expect Nick Foles play a lot better than he played in week 1, because I think the rest of their team is that good.
Well, I expect them, because they got better personnel than the teams they play the next couple of weeks. So, yes, Jim, I believe they can stay afloat. But there's a thing called momentum. And I expect them to be able to come out of this month with some momentum. They got through the first night, opening night. Atlanta should have beat them. Now, I expect this team, if they want it, because that home field advantage in that NFC, that's how they got to the Super Bowl last year. Best record. You want to keep that on the board. So I don't want to see them go 500 in the games he's in there. They need to be at least 3-1, 4-0. Yeah, that's how you stay afloat.
And they've got this edge here. They got a mini bye because they played Thursday. Tampa coming off a very shocking win. So they got that going for them.
And last, we have Dez Bryant, who has been extremely active on Twitter during this NFL season. However, Dez may have gotten caught with a burner account. Hiss. Burn. Dez Bryant, Dez
tweeted, the problem was my ex-teammates respected me more than the coaches. Then Dez quote-tweeted himself with, "I can see that," which he later deleted, leading many people to speculate, most notably me, that he meant to tweet that from a burner account, because I consider myself a bit of a burner account expert. CC, you are not a burner account expert. But a lot of people don't.
Like, C didn't really even understand what a burner account was, or why you would even have one, or who it helped, or who it benefits.
I had to get the staff together, because I need some help. Maybe I'm just too old and everything, because there's some things I just don't understand and or see. But I just don't. He doesn't have a job. Like, he's trying to get a job. And I know, and I learned this through Nick Saban, every athlete he recruits, sends a letter to, offers a scholarship to, they have staff members track their social media. So when that kid comes on campus, they have a rundown of pictures, tweets, stuff from
all of it.
And they show
digital footprint.
Like, this is who you are. I don't know if he's seen his footprint and what it reads like. If you're trying to get an NFL team, and I was just talking to 2 NFL teams, and this has nothing to do with Dez, but this is how they do business. I was in the Dolphins front office, walking down the hallway. One of their staff members, might have been their general manager, but they have a board, a whiteboard, and they have all the potential free agents. Who's on the street, who's on the practice squad, because you can sign someone off someone's practice squad to your regular roster. Take them. So I looked at the category of wide receivers, and either 31 teams, some of them have taken Dez Bryant's name off the board, or they have allowed people like Corey Coleman to jump over top of him because he's a more accomplished player. I don't know what it is, but I know that him tweeting, it's not going to help. He tweeted, "I would fit good in New England." They signed 2 guys. None of them named Dez Bryant. I might look good in Washington. Washington made a statement, because they must read Twitter. We have no interest in Dez Bryant. So for me, it's a bad look. And Jenna, when Dez got cut, you were like, "Chris, what about the potential he might not be with the team?" I was like, "Jenna, you overreacting. Jenna, let me back. Jenna was right. I was talking about 2 months after he got cut. I'm talking about back in July. We are at the second week of the season, and Jenna Wolf said Dez Bryant might not be playing when we start the season, and I was wrong about that.
Let me ask you guys something. There's stuff out there that we know about Dez Bryant. We all know the stuff that's out there about Dez Bryant. He's a little hot-headed. We've seen it. We've watched it during games. I would have to imagine, is that stuff bad enough to keep him off all the other teams? Is there? We've all been in sports. We know there's other out there.
Let me ask you this. Do we know more about some of the off-camera behavior of other broadcasters than the public knows?
Sure.
Well, it's the same thing. If you're in the industry, you know more about people in the industry than the public knows, for good or for bad. Like that's, and so there has to be, because Dez being a hothead on the sideline and not being able to run the full route
certainly not enough
does
to
not keep you unemployed.
Especially if you need a wide receiver.
We got one wide receiver just like that on every show. Team out there. Like that's normal.
I mean, how about Martavis?
Right.
Martavis just got picked up. He got cut by the team that cut him. He's one suspension away from banishment, or one failed drug test away from banishment. There's rumors that already happened. It just hasn't processed yet. Like, the team that traded for him cut him and then brought him back. But I want to get back to the burner account just for a second, because I actually think it's not just funny. I think it's instructive. Why would he have a burner account? Because he's trying to, on Twitter, what that tweet was there for is to make it appear people support him.
Right.
Dez is talking to the wrong people. Dez is concerned about his approval rating amongst football fans and people on Twitter. That ain't who you're trying to impress right now.
Not at this point.
You are trying to impress. There are 32 human beings in the world who matter to you right now outside of your family. It is the 32 people that run football teams. Burner accounts do not help you there. What hurts you there is what you are tweeting from your actual account. So, like, Dez Bryant is... And this is, listen, he's not that much younger than me. Like, I get it to a degree. We're a social media generation. But he is getting warped as far as what matters. Your Q rating and social media popularity is not what matters right now. What matters right now is impressing one of the 32 people that can give you a job. The football tape isn't going to change. It's all about the decisions you're making in the offseason that are keeping you from being employed. Now, if he wants to retire and be a personality, then more power to him. He's got a standing offer on Undisputed and on this show. He go out and he's bombastic. Maybe knows a lot of football. Maybe he'll be great at that. But he says he wants to play football. He's not helping himself get a job playing football. That's disappointing.
The longer this goes without a team signing him, does it make it that much harder for him?
It makes it that much harder because this was going to be the year he was going to change the narrative as far as his career.
Right.
And every week he's not there, it still takes a game plan. He's been with one team, Dallas. One system in Dallas. It's still going to take a few weeks before he's even ready to play in a game. He's not ready to play in an NFL game. Based on his mentality, his mental aspect of him tweeting during the Dallas game, he's not ready to play in the NFL.
And if it was all about, last point, if it was all about a team, we want Dez, we just don't want to guarantee him the contract. So we're waiting until after the first week. He'd have been signed Monday.
He'd have been at least in someone's building sitting down to have a conversation.
And so if there was a team that liked him, was like, let's just not guarantee the money. We're going to wait until after week one. It is Wednesday after week one. He ain't been anywhere. It's a problem for him. It's a real problem.
You crack one more of those watches, it's going to be a problem for you.
No, I didn't. He saw me break once.
I hear it. I hear it 3 times a show.
If you do, though, I know a guy.
No, not my watch. Don't do my watch like that.
Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Probably his brother. An uncharacteristic start for Ben Roethlisberger in Week 1, turning the ball over 5 times in a tie with the Browns. Bit of a head scratcher since, wasn't it Big Ben who talked about feeling as strong as ever coming into camp? We learned yesterday he's dealing with an elbow injury, one that might limit him in practice this week. Needless to say, Roethlisberger wasn't thrilled with the way Week 1 played out.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you don't win a football game, it feels like a loss. So it was, yesterday was tough. Sunday coming home, and then yesterday was tough. And you didn't lose, but you also didn't win. So it definitely hurts. The biggest thing that you take away from that game is the turnovers. We turned the ball over 6 times, which is crazy to even think you have a chance to be in a game, in an NFL football game with 6 turnovers. So there's such a negative in that sense, but there's also a positive that we were still in the game. And I told our defense after the game, thanks to you guys for keeping us in it, and special teams for helping us not lose it.
All right, CC, if Week 1 was a tie, Week 2 doesn't get any easier for this team. They have to face the Kansas City Chiefs. What does Big Ben have to do at this point to get their first win against Kansas City?
Well, Ben is right to the fact that they were fortunate with the number of turnovers that they were allowed to be in the game. But I always learned when the team lost, I always just looked at myself. Now, what did I do during the course of the game? Ben took every snap. What could I have done to change this where we could have won? And when we win games, I look at myself the same way. How could I have played better that we would have had a even bigger margin of victory? So I don't know why Ben is just not looking at himself, because he is how this team goes. He should feel like they lost. Opening week, given the distractions around the team and everything, they played well enough to win this game. But they tried to give it to the Browns. Now, the Browns are a much improved team, but the Browns are in the division. The Steelers are trying to fight for home field advantage. Last year, there was a reason why New England had home field advantage, right, Nick? It's because they lost a game that they
Chicago week 3. Everyone focused.
How many wins did Chicago have?
Chicago last year, I think 5 wins on the season.
But they got one against the better teams in the league in Pittsburgh. These early season losses, or when you are favored to beat a team, like the difference in talent in Pittsburgh and in Cleveland, you're supposed to win those games. And I worry about Pittsburgh because they just stay distracted. They keep some confusion around the team.
And while I give Ben credit for saying I went to the defense and said, you saved us, the other part of that soundbite, the word we, is doing a lot of work there.
Yeah, we turned the ball over 6 times.
We turned the ball over 6 times. Well, you and the mouse in your pocket did it 5. Right? Like, I mean, and so what happens when you're -5? Teams that are -5 in the turnover differential, as they were, because he had 5, James Conner had 1, Tyrod threw 1 pick, so they were -5. Those teams, since 99 in this league, are 4-132-1.
Get out of here.
4-132-1.
That was the one.
That was the one. The tie right there. If you're -5 in the turnover battle,
you're not going to win.
You lose.
Yeah.
And they had a 14-point lead midway through the fourth quarter. Connor fumbles, but then they have a 7-point lead later in the fourth quarter. Big Ben has a turnover, and in overtime. The only reason they didn't lose this game is because after Big Ben turned the ball over with less than a minute left in overtime, Myles Garrett has that block in the back. Like, obviously, Big Ben's got to play better, especially since he's facing future Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes.
Here they go. Big battle with the Chiefs, week 2.